Alright, today I'm going to go over the replacement of the fender skirt here on my wilderness travel trailer, and on the slide, or road side, in this case the road side, the slide. And what you can see here, I've actually worked on this a couple of times. What really happens here is the way this is fastened currently with the factory screws. These screws back out. Let me see if I can get down here. Might be able to see where they come through the back side. Alright, so you can kind of see right there, this is a little thicker here where those screws went through, but you can see down below here, I put a backing block originally, so you can see the thickness of that aluminum skirting here obviously is not thick at all. So what happens is, like up in here, these screws back out and you have all this tape in the way, and you can see here this cracked. See it or not? Let's get out a little further back. So it cracked, and I had fixed it over here one time too. This fastened in here. I had put a machine bolt with a stainless with a locking nut, which is what I'm going to do with part of these in order to keep this on here, and to make sure that, one, you don't want to over tighten the screws. That way it floats and it can expand and contract, because it expands and contracts at a different rate than the rest of the materials, and to prevent from vibration, because over here you can see this side here didn't crack or move at all. It was only on the slide. So in a second here, I ordered a new one from the factory. I will say it was cheaper by far than from a third party who was also offering replacements, at least in this case, because this trailer is a 2017. The factory still is making replacement parts for it, and they were very easy to deal with, very quick in responding to my emails and phone calls and shipping, etc. So let me get the box open and I'll show you what the new one looks like. Alright, so here is the fender out of the box, and it's in good condition. It arrived safely. A couple of things I will just mention here. One, this fender was just right at $50 for this particular fender, for this particular model of a camper that I own. A little taken back by the shipping cost. It was $30. All of this box weighed nothing. I mean, because the fenders obviously are, this is a very lightweight plastic. I'm not sure exactly what kind of plastic that is, but it's extremely lightweight. I mean, this box probably didn't weigh, well, the box weighed more than the fender does probably, and total probably doesn't weigh more than 3 or 4 pounds. But it is a big box, and it did come UPS. But just be prepared if you order one, at least from Heartland. The shipping I thought was a little excessive, but it is what it is, and it was still, my total investment is a little under $80, and that was far less than a third-party vendor I looked at initially, not knowing if I was going to be able to get a replacement fender from Heartland, and I want to say they were nearly $130 or $140 plus the shipping. Now, I don't know about the quality. Maybe their plastics are heavier. I do not know. I will tell you, this is a very thin plastic. But anyhow, it is an exact match. It is from the factory. And so we're going to get started on this, and we'll show you some of the things along the way as I replace the other one. Okay, so we got this replacement fender. We've got it cut to meet the old fender. And I have installed some additional bracing, which I would suggest that you do. I've used a piece of scrap anodized aluminum I had. You could use a piece of flat stock or angle aluminum. Either way, but you want to have something there to provide some extra stability for this support piece, because that had broken. I used, you can see there, it had broken. Originally tried to repair it, but by then the damage was too far along. So hopefully we'll have it straightened out. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing put on the side, and alright, so we're getting ready to put this on. We've cleaned this up earlier, got all of the stuff off of there. You can see where originally the factory had got carried away with drilling holes or made a mistake or something. Not really sure. But we are going to try to reuse most of the original holes if possible, for a variety of reasons. One, because we're going to be using, as I mentioned in the beginning, we're going to be using machine screws and lock nuts, stainless steel machine screws and lock nuts on here for a variety of reasons. One, as I mentioned earlier, this wall is very thin, and I believe that by using machine screws we can control the tightness, and with the lock nuts they won't come loose, but it will allow this plastic fender to move just a little bit. We mentioned that earlier, to do with for temperature, because each one of these products probably has a different thermal rate in terms of expansion and contraction. So by just having it just snug, and we can do that with a machine screw and a lock nut without fear of it ever coming loose, which is what happened here. The factory uses the conventional do-all sheet metal type screw. They crank it down. They don't put any kind of adhesive on the screw. It comes loose, and that's what happened here, and I just did not catch it in time. So that was my bad. But we're going to do this a little differently on the installation, and so let me get that done, and then you'll see what the final product looks like. Okay, so here we have the final installation of the new fender skirt, and you can see, as I mentioned before, I've got new hardware on here, and I'll show you from the back side in a second. I did take some black acrylic paint in a very small brush and just brush the heads of the screws black, and that was just so that they would match, otherwise that silver kind of sticks out. Same thing here, I was mentioning earlier, I've got a spacer in here, you probably can see it, to provide stability for this part of the fender here. Originally they just had a screw in there. Now I'm able to tighten that down. And here on the back, which is what I've all worked, these, or excuse me, machine screws with lock nuts on them, and not sure you're gonna be able to see the hole. There we go. So that's what I did all across. I reused all the existing factory holes. Had to make them a little bit bigger, drill them out, fit the screws. Here at the bottom, a lot of sunlight backing off here, but let's see, hold on. There we go. So there I've got the bracket. That's what happens when you don't have any extra light. There we go. So I've got the bracket there to add some extra stability instead of just screwing that into that support bracket. Let's see here. There we go. There we go. Same thing there. So anyhow, give you some ideas. If you need to replace yours, you may want to look at upgrading hardware, etc., so that you'll have a much longer life installation, and hopefully won't crack like mine original did. And thanks for watching.